Hi there, this is Kendra Murphy, one of the Blended Learning presenters. I wanted to take a second and go through some accountability resources with you for blended learning. If you're trying blended learning in your classroom, you might be concerned about whether or not students are going to be doing the work that you're asking them to, especially if you're making yourself one of the stations or if you're somewhere else assisting other students. There are a number of ways that you can ensure that your students are staying on track and that they're learning the material that you need them to learn in order to successfully progress through the course. In this screencast, I'm going to share a couple of those with you. We have a couple of built-in opportunities for you to explore some options on your own, and you'll see a couple of parts where there's a chance for you to look and see what might work best for you. As we mentioned earlier, please feel free to connect with both of us on Twitter. My Twitter username is TechInTeaching and Summer's is Summer Pettigrew. We'd be glad to help you if you decide to try this out next year and you want to get some ideas or you run into a challenge. We're glad to help. So let's get started. What you're viewing right now is called a screencast. A screencast is where someone talks while they're going through a presentation or something on their computer screen. I'm using a program called Camtasia, but there are a lot of other really great programs and other great websites that you can use to do the same thing. So if you have PowerPoints or smart notebooks that you go through with your class as a whole class operation, a screencast can be a great way for you to give kids a chance to personalize what they're learning, as well as give them a chance to be able to pause and re-watch parts where maybe they're a little more challenged, or if kids already know something, they can skip ahead. Some of these options are Screencast-O-Matic, Screencast.com, Screencastify, and there's a way to use YouTube as a screencast recorder. Each of these link to the resource that it is, so all you have to do is click on it and you'll see the website there. There's a free component to all of these options. Some of them have a paid subscription for premium services, so some of them will let you annotate the videos or highlight certain parts or zoom in on them, and sometimes those are premium features and cost some money. But if you get into screencasting, you start out with the free accounts and decide that you want to move into a paid account. Some of them are very inexpensive, like $15 a year, but they all work really well, and even in the free version, they work great. One thing to keep in mind is that in pretty much all screencasts, the default is they want you to put it on YouTube. It's easy, the storage is free, and it's included in our accounts. The downside for people in education, especially in CCSD, is that YouTube's blocked for our students. So that's one thing you're going to want to keep in mind. An easy alternative, an easy way around using YouTube for hosting your screencasts is just putting them in Google Drive. If you have your videos saved in Google Drive, your kids can access them. It's no problem. They can see them at home. They can see them at school. So that's a good option for you. And many of these programs will export right to Google Drive. So it's a one-step click. The second thing that we're going to look at are interactive videos. So we've created this screencast, and it's a video, and it's nice to have for students because there's a little more autonomy there than having a lecture in a classroom. But it would be really nice if we could embed questions in the video and that the kids couldn't skip past them, so that it gives us an opportunity as educators to ensure that they're getting what we think they're getting out of the video. These interactive video tools are great ways of doing that. The first one up here is called Edpuzzle. That all three of these do exactly what I just explained. So you can embed questions where you want the questions to be. You can force it so that kids can't skip past them, and it gives you all that information back. So you know in real time whether kids are getting what you think they're getting out of the video or whether some kids need some extra assistance. So Edpuzzle is one option. Zaption is this next one down. And this other one used to be called Educanon, and now it's called Posite, I think. But they're all good options. I also found this blog article well, it was a blog article, but this is the comparison of the three, and it's in a Google Sheet. So you can see the exact features that each one has and find the option that's best for you. Edupuzzle is free. The other two have free components, but some of the parts of their service are paid, so that's something you might want to consider. I know with Edpuzzle, you can upload your own videos directly. You don't need to use YouTube. Again, keep in mind that these are going to want to host on YouTube, so you're going to have to find another alternative, whether that's downloading it to a computer or, again, uploading it to Google Drive is probably the best option that you're going to find because it's free storage and your kids can access it. So that's something to definitely think about. A couple of other ways that you may or may not have already used that you can use to assess learning are Google Forms. It's built into your CCSD Google account already. So if you have kids complete an activity, whether it's a screencast, whether it's a game, whether they're practicing at a station with a partner, or they're doing some individual work, that could be reading, that could be answering questions, however you do it, you can use Google Forms to do that. You'd make the short quiz, you can share the link with kids on Classroom or do it as a QR code or a short link at the station, and they would then answer the questions, you would get the feedback. A nice option for Google Forms is using Flubaroo with it, and I'll type in the name of it. Flubaroo is an add-on to Google Forms, sort of. If you've used Google Forms before, you know that Google Forms is the part where people enter in the information. Once they enter in that information, all of that data goes into a sheet, a Google Sheet, which is essentially like a spreadsheet. Within those sheets, you can put in little bits of software called add-ons. And Flubaroo is a really easy one to use. If you've never used an add-on before, I definitely recommend giving Flubaroo a try. But the really great thing about Flubaroo is that it auto grades things for you. So you tell it what the correct answers are, and it will grade the work that your kids did. If you make one of the questions your student's email address, it can also email the results and their grade and the correct or incorrect answers to your students, whichever one you prefer. Another option for assessing learning is Mastery Connect. We all have Mastery Connect accounts. You can use those. It's a great option. And if you take the time to align the assignments and the quizzes that you're doing to the standards, you have a really good idea of what standards kids have mastered and what standards kids need a little more help with. And that's a great conversation to have with students and with families. If there's an issue about a grade or about kids' progress, you don't have to talk in terms of grades and points. You can talk in terms of learning and standards, which is a better place to be. It's kind of the goal that we want kids to talk in terms of what they're learning and what standards they've been able to master, as opposed to asking for an extra 2 points so that they can get bumped up to a B. The third option on here is Khan Academy, which is fantastic if you teach math. There's all sorts of quizzes, there's videos, there's guides, there's practice opportunities for students, and if you haven't used Khan Academy, definitely look into that. It's another great option. Finally, in terms of other resources, I didn't want to put a whole bunch on here because I want to give you a chance to explore yourself. And my favorite exploration starting point is always Pinterest. Pinterest has so many wonderful resources, especially for educators. Most of them are free. Some of them link to Teachers Pay Teachers. But again, if you're going to spend money, it's nice to have it going to another teacher. So at this point, I'd like you to take a couple of minutes. You can use this Pinterest link, or just go to Pinterest yourself. And the nice thing about Pinterest is that if you don't have an account, you don't necessarily have to have one. You can search, you can use this link right here, and it'll take you to thousands of resources about blended learning. But if you don't have a Pinterest account and you're interested in opening one, I definitely recommend it because there are so many resources on all different levels. I was a coach in an elementary school, and there were so many elementary geared resources that teachers love to use. I was a high school history teacher and focused mainly on 10th, 11th, and 12th grades, and there were resources for me. So there's resources at every level on Pinterest, which is really, really nice, and it's a wonderful starting place for all sorts of great education ideas and learning models. I hope this screencast has helped give you an idea about some accountability resources that you can try in your class. If If you have questions, please let me know, or please let Summer know.